Today we are talking about the new CJ. Ghana has a new Chief Justice that has been named. Who is he? He's the man on my screen. He's called Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie. When approved by Parliament, he will be the 16th Chief Justice Ghana has had since March 1957. Now, yesterday, the Chief Government Communication Officer, Felix Kwachiofosu, the MP for Abra Sebu Kwamankese, released a statement, and let me read it for you. It says that President Mahama nominates His Lordship Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie as Chief Justice. He said President John Dramani Mahama is in accordance with Article 1441 of the 1992 Constitution forwarded the name of His Lordship Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie to the Council of State for consideration as Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana. Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie has throughout his distinguished judicial career served with diligence and integrity at the High Court, the Court of Appeal, and currently the Supreme Court. He has made invaluable contribution to the development of Ghanaian jurisprudence. He has earned the esteem of the bench, the bar, and the wider legal fraternity for his intellect, impartiality, and unwavering commitment to justice. His wealth of experience along service on the bench renders him eminently qualified for the high office of Chief Justice. His Lordship has been acting Chief Justice since 22nd April 2025. You know that this acting position was occasioned by the Article 146 process by 3 petitions against the former Chief Justice, His Ladyship Justice Gertrude Tokonu, who, by warrant signed by President John Dramani Mahama, sacked him when the Article 146 process chaired by Justice Gabriel Scott Puaman, also a Justice of the Supreme Court, found there to have breached Article 1461, that is misbehavior. You know that there are 3 grounds on which a Justice of the Supreme Court can be removed, and also a Chief Justice. That is 1, on the grounds of incompetence, 2, grounds of misbehavior, and 3, grounds of infirmity, when the person is unwell and cannot perform the duties of the office of Chief Justice. Now, what does the law say? And here you see some differences here. When you go to Article 1441, it reads, the Chief Justice shall be appointed by the President acting in consultation with the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament. But there's a very curious distinguishing factor, and I know students are listening, so I just want to do this for you. The 2 reads, the other Supreme Court justices shall be appointed by the President acting on the advice of the Judicial Council and in consultation with the Council of State and with the approval of Parliament. So the difference here is that when the President wants to nominate someone to the office of Chief Justice, he just needs to confer with the Council of State and the person goes to Parliament for approval. But when it comes to any other Justice of the Supreme Court, because you first have to be a Justice of the Supreme Court before you can be a Chief Justice. That is a convention. It's not in any part of the Constitution, but that's a convention. But the 1442 is the distinguishing difference here, where when you have to go to the Supreme Court, first the Judicial Council must make that recommendation together with the President. So there's a 3-factor verification of a sort. If you want to be a Justice of the Supreme Court, the Judicial Council, the Council of State, then Parliament. But when you want to go to the office of a Chief Justice, it's just the Council of State, then Parliament. So Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie in the coming days will be going to meet the Appointments Committee of Parliament, where they will interrogate his CV, interrogate his competence, and therefore recommend his approval or otherwise to serve. But we all know that he'll be approved based on the nature of the Parliament we have now. Now, when did he go to the bench? So this picture traces you back to June 2008. You see His Excellency, the former President John Agyekum Kufuor, the second President of the 4th Republican Dispensation, swearing in some 4 justices of the Supreme Court. He was called to the Supreme Court in June 2008 alongside Justice Rose Constance Owusu, Justice Jones Doche, who has since retired from the Supreme Court. I think Justice Constance has also retired. Then Justice Enim Yabua, who is also retired. So he, as we speak, is the current longest serving Justice of the Supreme Court. He's been on the bench for 17 years. The second senior is Justice Gabriel Scott Puaman, who coincidentally was the chairman of the Article 146 process that saw the removal of Justice Gertrude Tokonu. Now, when you go, who is Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie? Per the profile on my Joy Online, he was born in December 1956, on December 26 exactly, 1956 in Goso in the Hafo region. He's been on the bench for over 30 years, and his career started somewhere when he was called to the bar in 1983, when he was called to the bar as a lawyer. So that's something brief about him. He's worked also somehow in Nigeria. He's practiced in the United States. He's been, a key member of the judiciary, and his wife is the current director of the Ghana Prisons Service. So that is a little bit about him personally. That is Justice Baffoe-Bonnie. Now the curious thing is that he was born in 1956. How old is he? Because as a justice of the Supreme Court, you have to retire at 70, meaning that by 2027, President Mahama will have to name a new Chief Justice, because currently Paul Baffoe-Bonnie per the date of birth on my screen 1956, so meaning that by December 26, 2025 he will be 69. So meaning that by January 2027 Ghana will have to name a new Chief Justice. So he's currently just 68, he will be 69 in December 2026. Now, I told you that he will be the 16th Chief Justice if he is affirmed by the Parliament of Ghana. Currently, we've had 15 Chief Justices, that is 12 males and 3 females. Now, let's go through the list briefly. Now, the first Chief Justice we had was Sir Akukosa, and there's a picture of him. Remember this man, he was sacked by Kwame Nkrumah in the 60s. What happened? In Kumbungu, Nkrumah as a escaped a near assassination attempt. There were some allegations of his then information minister Terry Amatefio and other people being fingered in that. There was a 3-member panel that sat, including Justice Akukosa, Justice Bedford Larry, and also Akufo-Addo's father, Justice Edward Akufo-Addo. And these 3 members found the people who are accused not guilty. That infuriated Kwame Nkrumah, and he was sacked by the president then in 1962 as the first Chief Justice. So it's not the first time a Justice of the Supreme Court had been sacked. Nkrumah did it to Sir Akukosa, but that was in the 60s. Then we didn't have the framing of the Article 140. That is why the framers of the 1992 Constitution brought in that creature of Article 140 to be able to streamline some of these excesses from the executive. And that is when the petition is brought against the person, it first has to be referred to the Council of State for them to determine the prima facie basis. Then the committee will be set up. Then the president will have to act on the recommendation of the committee that is based on Article 140. So he was the first Chief Justice of the country, and he was unfortunately sacked. The second Chief Justice of the country was Justice Julius Sarkodie Addo. He was the second Chief Justice. He was also removed when the coup of February 1966 was occasioned that saw the overthrow of Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. The next Chief Justice is the father of His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, the former president. That is Justice Edward Akufo-Addo, who also served from 1970 to 1972. He served for just barely 2 years. Then we had Edmund Alexander Lankwe Bannerman, who became the 4th Chief Justice. He served from briefly also. Then we have Justice Samuel Azu Krabsam. He was also then the Chief Justice, the 5th that we had. Then we had the 6th Chief Justice, that is Frederick Kwesi Akpalu. He was the longest serving justice until Justice Georgina Wood came on the scene. He served for quite a long time, from 1977 to 1986. So meaning that he served during the Champon era, and also under Lehman, and also under Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings. Then we had Justice Ernest Nipo Bisowa, who also served after Justice Kwesi Akpalu. He served from 1986 to 1990. Then we had Justice Edward Archer. He served from 1991 to 1995. So he was the Chief Justice when Ghana transitioned from the 11-year military junta under Flight Lieutenant Jerry John Rawlings into the 4th Republican dispensation. So he was the Chief Justice of that period, Philip Edward Archer. He died in May 2002 after he went on retirement in 1995. After him, we had Justice Isaac Kobna Aban. He served from 1995 to 2001 and was the 9th person to hold that office. Then we had Justice Edward Kwame Redu, and I believe for my generation, this is the Chief Justice we all remember. This is the picture of him. I was able to pull a picture from the archives. No, that is Kingsley Akwa. This is Georgina Wode Sofia Kufu. So let me get out. Yes, so that's Justice William Redu. That is my generation, the Chief Justice you remember fondly. So that is him there. He served from 2001 to 2003 when he went on retirement. He later died there. Then he had Justice Kingsley Akwa. He died in office as the Chief Justice. That was what occasioned the nomination of Georgina Theodora Wood in June 2007 to go to the high office of a Chief Justice. He served for 10 years. He's the longest serving Chief Justice we've had since Ghana's history. The second to him is Akpalu, who did 9 years. Justice Theodora Wood was on the bench for some time from 1974. So it was until 2007 that because he was on the Supreme Court, he was nominated to be the Chief Justice of the country after the death of Justice George Kingsley Akwa. And in May 2017, he had to go on retirement. That's why President Akufo-Addo nominated Sophia Ekufu. So a bit of fun fact here. Prof. Mills and President Mahama Phase 1 or 1.0, they didn't nominate any justice of the Supreme Court. So that's where the popular saying, there's many ways to kill a cat, comes in, where Komneje, the then chairman of the NDC, they were trying to scheme to remove Theodora Wood based on some judgment that the NDC felt that they didn't go their way in court. Then we had Justice Sophia Ekufu. After him, we had Justice Nim Yabua, who, remember, I told you, was nominated to the Supreme Court in 2008 by President Kufuor alongside Justice Doche, Justice Constance Ansan, and also the now nominated Chief Justice, Justice Baffoe-Bonnie. Then last, we had Justice Gabriel Tokonu, who was also nominated to go to the Supreme Court somewhere in 2019 and became the Chief Justice for a period of 2 years. So this is the history of Chief Justice we've had so far. This is a bit of picture. That is Justice Kingsley Akwa for you. He died in office. Then this is Justice Georgina Theodora Wood. Then we also have Justice Sophia Ekufu. Then we have Justice Georgina, Gertrude Tokonu, forgive me for that. And a bit of fun for all the 3 female justices we've had as a product of Wesley Girl. Someone told me to include that in my research for them. So that's a bit of the contest about the nomination of Justice Paul Baffoe-Bonnie. We'll be going to Parliament, and in the coming days, we see what will come out of that process so far. So this is the fun fact, this is the history, this is the contest, and this is the future. In 2027, who will become the next Chief Justice after he's attained the mandatory age or retirement age of 70 years? We wait to see what happens, and we certainly break it down for you on the breakdown. My name is Eugene. Thank you for listening.